Today we are live again. It is Tuesday, November 10th. My name is Gabriel. This is ODE, Online Digital Education, Community of Teachers, Mastery Group, Facebook community, you know, a collaborative group of online educators, brick and mortar educators, like-minded thinkers, who are in a current COVID situation, pre-COVID, and looking for post-COVID, some kind of like, unification, camaraderie, so that they can ascend the value ladder, so that they can feel like they're valuable, so that they can feel less stressed out and all that kind of good stuff. So welcome back, ODE Mastery, Online Digital Education, Facebook community. Yesterday we talked about, teachers stressing, and I provided, three particular solutions that I like for mental stress. And we talked about, the mental health care. Mental health for teachers. That's an important subject, man. You guys are going nuts. I've gone nuts. A lot of us are really not in good shape, man. And having the right state of mind is important. So yesterday we talked about that. I provided three solutions, viable ones that I highly recommend. Meditation, cognitive flexibility, of course, and of course emotional intelligence, of course. You can always ask me for those, links, comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to send them to you. If you say, hey, listen, give me those links for the emotional intelligence free course, and I'll give it to you. So today I want to expand a little bit on that, but on more on the positive side, because even though we're having mental issues, stressed out issues, current pandemic, 2020 issues, the whole thing is that this is not dire straits. This is not like the end of the world for people or whatever. And maybe it is. I don't know. I doubt it though. But as long as you're right now, you got a pulse, you're breathing, you're an educator, and you got hopes into your future. Listen, let's talk about what we should be looking at. We should be looking at the future right now, all right? Not our current situation. Current situation sucks. We know that. But let's talk about post-COVID-19 teacherpreneurs earning six figures. If you're earning six figures, if you are your own, entrepreneur, teacherpreneur, if you are running your own educational channel organically, which means free of ads, you're not paying for it, then you're doing the right thing for yourself. You're segueing and you're looking at the future, as an educator with experience, providing solutions, not trying to, nurture the problem. And you're doing cutting edge stuff. You're being progressively, thinking stuff, and you're breaking the rules of brick and mortar, all that political education system rules and guidelines and crap that for the last 100 years has really just blown chunks. This is the 21st century. So because of the pandemic, educators have been forced to cope with how to teach online and deliver high-value lessons to the masses. You're not teaching locally anymore, and if you are, that's a problem. You know it is. You guys are having difficulty with Zoom. You're having difficulty with lesson plans. You're having difficulty with tech issues. You're having difficulty with unruly parents who walk around half naked, and you get all freaked out about that shit. There's a different way of teaching online. And it's still going to be one of two ways. You're either going to be employed by somebody or you're going to work for yourself. I provide the work for yourself path to your personal education freedom as a teacherpreneur. Or you can work for somebody else, or you can do both. I currently work for these people right here. I work for Bling ABC. I like it. I love it. I think it's great. In this pandemic era, before teachers ran on the internet, wanting to be swayed, by online, schools that were hiring native English teachers. I was already hired. I was already working. I've been working online for 3 years now, since 2017. And the fact of the matter is, I still work for them because I love it. I think it's great. The hours are awesome. I work from 4 o'clock in the morning until 8 a.m. And I feel a little beat up in the afternoons, but I take a nap. But outside of that, I get to focus on my Facebook community organically because, I'm not paying for ads. I'm not going to pay for ads either if I could just have a conversation with you guys and just be myself. This is totally unscripted, by the way, except when I script it, And if I need to script it, it's because I need those bullet points, so I can remember, I mean, I keep notes of what I want to talk about, when I want to talk about it, and you should too. So you can either work for somebody or you can work for yourself. I prefer that you work for yourself, and I provide you that blueprint. So we have a real-time problem, solving challenges, okay, which are greater than what most of us were prepared to face. Yeah. Look, not just teachers, but anybody was not prepared, to face this pandemic, right? To be like, wow, I can't go to work. How am I going to lead my life? Well, think about it this way, all right? What if that asteroid last week actually did hit the Earth? And we were taken back to the dark ages, no electricity. Your survival skills got to kick in eventually, right? How many times have you seen how to create fire? And most of us don't even know how to create fire unless we actually have a pick. We don't know how to flint something or how to create ember, how to create a fire, for light. So there's a lot of ways to do that, all right? And here's the thing. Sorry about that. I got somebody bugging me. Students globally were not prepared to have access to online education either. Okay. As a matter of fact, many do not have adequate computers at home or an ISP connection at home. They just don't, man. Yet for all the lack of equipment and the blame, and believe me, the blame is broad. All right. Between political reasons and those who choose to pray to the higher authorities. Okay. And many, if not all, have a smartphone, to BS online with. They don't have an internet connection at home. A lot of them don't have a desktop computer or a laptop, and if they do, it's something antiquated. But everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has either a prepaid plan or we pay for a plan to be connected on the internet for what? To be on the smartphone, okay, so that we could be on Facebook, or talking smack with our friends, or being on Instagram, or just taking pictures, but nobody's educating, right? And it's not easy to go to school on one of these guys. Imagine trying to go to school on this. See, that's what half the problem is, right? The last 20 years, technology went rampant, right? It just accelerated at a speed that people said, we don't need a computer no more. A lot of people we don't even need a laptop. But here we are, right? We got a pandemic. Excuse me, I keep dropping shit. I dropped my little cocoa, sticks. I use with my kids, the vocabulary words. Anyway, they weren't prepared for that. Nobody was prepared for the pandemic. Here we are, kids globally, USA, here in South America, all over the world, in a lot of places. They don't have an internet connection at home. They don't have the equipment, and they're not going to school because of this pandemic. Let me explain something to you guys. I was here in Ecuador. I currently live in Ecuador. Been here since 2017. But I was here in Guayaquil, Ecuador, and in Cuenca, Ecuador, which is the third largest city, touristic city, UNESCO, heritage site. Back in 1999, 20 years ago. And I was here in Ecuador installing voice and data networks, transmitting high-speed internet from Miami via satellite. And yet, 20 years later, here in Ecuador, 20 years after I was here installing voice and data networks, high-speed internet, 80% of the country's education system is stymied. And everyone blames each other without the government offering a clear must-do solution. Everybody's all like, open up the schools. Really, we're in a pandemic, man. You want to kill people? Go ahead, kill yourselves. Less people, more money, more food, more resources, whatever. Okay? But that's not the solution now. Everybody's in a panic. Here in Ecuador, it's totally panic. because 20 years ago, when I was here installing these voice and data networks, I used to work for a company called Veristar. Look it up. It's true. Veristar, a satellite, internet ISP provider. I was one of the young techs at the time. I was going to school. I went back to school, and then I landed a job here, and I was learning how to compress a digital signal, for voice and data networks, and it was a beautiful thing. So Veristar was like a branch of American Tower Corporation, and we were down here, man. We were building out in Ecuador and in Peru voice and data networks over satellite, high-speed internet. When VoIP was just getting around to become like the norm. And 20 years later, they're crying about, oh my God, we don't have this shit here. Listen, if you're on a 2G network here in Ecuador still, it's only because the government, chose that, all right? And people became complacent and said, fuck it. I'm not going to pay an extra dollar for internet. For what? I'm like, are you crazy? I'm telling you, I'm here right now. I'm one of the few people who runs on a fiber network. I pay $40 a month, and people here think like, are you crazy? That's like a lot of money. I'm like, my God, you have no idea. If you can earn $400 a month, and pay you $40 a month on the internet, you're doing great. But nobody thinks like that. So what can teachers, educators, from North and South America do in this pandemic era? What can we actually do? That's a question you got to ponder. Because again, this is not new. We've been living pandemic era now, with the mask, with the, what do you call it? The, lockdowns since March of this year, at least here in Ecuador since March. And people are still acting like, is this really happening? Like, do I have to? And when is life going to get back to normal so I can go back to work, hop in my car, get on the highway, and go to work? Hello, that time is over. Yeah, you don't get to do that again. As a matter of fact, I think that this is the actual straw that's going to break your back and force you to realize that you need to adapt and adopt a new mentality into the 21st century. If you're not going to do that, you're going to struggle, you're going to hurt, and you're just not going to be able to make it. So here's one thing that you can do. Right? You can become a teacherpreneur. Yeah. You can do that. And you can create your own educational niche channel organically. Organically means free. You don't pay for ads. Using Facebook and offer. Get ready for this one, because you're gonna think I'm bonkers. And offer a 100% free high value lesson to your dream students on the planet. Because now you're not limited to your local community students. Look, I'm sorry. All right, you don't get to teach the same students again the same way you did when you used to go to school number 1, number 5, whatever the name of the school was in your local community. We're in pandemic, so you're not going to be teaching somebody locally. Now you got to think globally. And if you create your educational niche based on your experience, academic achievements, online, using Facebook as your platform of choice. Why? Because they got over 2 billion subscribers. What do? They congregate in groups talking about what? Things that they like and they're passionate about. What is one of the biggest subjects? Education. You know how many educational channels are on Facebook? A lot. That's where your students are hanging out. Your students are not local, they're global. You create an educational channel, a niche channel, you're going to be able to attract students and sustain yourself on the internet. It's just that simple. It's not easy because you got to do that work. You got to set it up for yourself. You got to set yourself up for that purpose. But once you do it, it's a wrap. It's almost like, now I get to go to school online and I'm having fun again. You have just become a global educator, qualified to teach, educate, and inspire based on your experience and academic achievements to your dream students. I just said that because it's true. You are qualified based on your experience and academic achievements, okay, to teach, educate, and inspire your dream students. You got a bachelor's, master's, PhD, doctorate. You know, if you're an English teacher, math teacher, science teacher, gym teacher, vocational school teacher, if you're an educator, you can create your own niche educational channel organically. And, you know, now you can teach anywhere. You know, you just got to attract 100 students. I talk about this a lot, and I mentioned this a lot in my previous videos. You should check it out. All right, you only need 100 students a month to earn 6 figures. That's it. 100 students a month to earn 6 figures and create the virtual campus community where your dream students will congregate and hang out organically in your virtual campus for free. Look, I'm going to show you. Okay, I provide you with these assets. Okay, these are mine in black and white because I printed them out. I use them for notes. But here's the first one I give you: 21st Century Educator Freedom Workbook. I give you a path to your freedom. You don't have to pay for that. I paid for it already. And I'm giving it to you because you need a break. All right? You don't need to trust. You need to verify. Okay? Everything that I'm telling you, verify. And then you can say, wow, I can trust this guy. And you should. Here's another thing that I provide for you. I provide for you the 4-month business plan for online educators. 120 days. How to get it going. How to set it up right. You know, this is not something that you're going to do, you know, fairy dust, and it's going to be done in like 2 weeks. You got to create, build, nurture your niche business. And look, this is how I titled it, okay? How to set up your online education business in just 121 days profitably. You know how much it costs you to do it? 0 in terms of dollars. You know how much it costs you to do it in terms of time? 120 days. Because if you're going to lollygag 30 minutes a day and you're not sure, whatever, it's going to take you a year. But if you're going to dedicate, okay, you know, an hour a day, 90 minutes a day, because you got the time to do it, and you want to nurture that, and you want to build it up, and you want to do the step by step how to get it done. After 4 months, you're going to start earning 6 figures. You know, after 6 months, you probably will be at 6 figures. You know, because $100 students at $97 a month. You know, 30 days, 100 students at 97. Come on, do the math. You're a math teacher. 97 times 100 is $9,700 for the month. If you do that for 12 months consistently, that's 6 figures. That's not junk. That's not BS. Okay, that's verifiable. All right. So you got to decide if you want to do it. I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make you know what? Dance. It's just stubborn. All right. So I'm providing you the blueprint. I'm giving it to you. Now, listen, according to Henry M. Smith, all right, who is he? He's a smart guy. He's an educator, okay? And he wrote this article. He states in an article called Want to Rethink Education After COVID-19? Creative Solutions Mean Taking More Risks, written, okay? And that was written for EdSurge. This is a periodical or newspaper, digital newspaper on the internet called EdSurge. And, you know, this educator, I don't know, he's got a PhD or something. He's a really smart guy. But he thinks like a politician, a teacher politician. And, I'm totally contrarian to that. But he says, bringing entrepreneurial leadership to bear on the COVID-19 crisis also means designing and implementing programs and services differently. Man, I got to agree with that 100%. Okay, let me repeat that. Implementing programs and services differently. When you are a teacherpreneur in the 21st century, you know, progressive thinking means you have to implement programs and services differently. If you're going to provide a niche educational channel, now you're being progressive. Now you're thinking differently, services differently. Okay, in his article, he talks about being the EL, educational leader, which fuses, okay, just bonds together the brick and mortar mentality with the digital era teacherpreneur innovations. But he's still very political about it. It's like, it's 19th century brick and mortar mentality. Look, fantastic. He's a smart guy. That's the way he thinks. He's not being progressive. He's taking what you already have in the 19th century, 20th century, and putting it in the 21st century and wanting to move forward with it. As long as you change processes, I don't agree with that. But hey, that's on you. That's political. I don't control that. I control individual teachers. I don't control individual teachers. I try to inspire individual teachers, to make that choice. You can either work for somebody else or you can work for yourself. If you work for yourself, what you're doing is you're learning how to create an educational niche business for yourself, providing high value education warranted to 100 students in a private teacher funnel. Okay, they'll pay you $97 a month, and you'll make 6 figures a year, being highly ethical and providing quality education. Just that simple. I believe that's the way of the future. That is the way the future's already been being handled. And I have no doubt that the education system as a whole is going to have a governing body on the internet that's going to say, well, no, there's no way we're going to do it now virtually. And that's great. But in parallel, you're going to have your teacherpreneurs going to be like, you know what? I'm good. It worked for me. I got the academics, degrees. I'm going to teach it my way, not yours. And you can do that because it's 21st century and the internet is vast. Okay. Your board of education cannot control the internet. They just can't. So the EL, the educational leader, it is another perspective, which I don't agree upon. And I said that because it keeps you broke and dependent on the same educational system that has failed to progressively upgrade itself for 100 years. I know. Look, that sounds controversial. That sounds like I want to fight. And a lot of people are not going to agree with me, and they're going to challenge me on that. I don't care. What I care about is that because there are so many educators with degrees and experience that they can do their own thing now, you should. You should. Okay, yes. Be an educational leader. Why not an EL? That's a nice 2-letter acronym, moniker, whatever. The L. Who are you? I'm the L. But learn to start, grow, and earn with a teacher niche funnel. Yeah, you can do that. Okay, and get control of your teaching passion again. Reduce your stress. Don't succumb to that teacher mental health issues and high anxieties, panic attacks. I spoke about that yesterday. All right. Get some peace of mind and teach what you know how to teach passionately and well in a niche market. And you create that niche, which is a beautiful thing. The 21st century is no different than the 20th, and past centuries, all right? With one of many exceptions, one of many. You can either have your own 100% profitable educational channel or still be employed by someone else. It's the fear of, I don't know if I can do this myself and all these rules and laws and whatever. And you know what? That's fine. Nobody's going to get mad at you if you work for somebody else. That's dignifying. That's great. If you want to work for yourself, right here. This is 2 of the many, digital assets that I provide teachers in my 100% free workshop. Look, come on down. It's in beta right now. Come and test my 16 lesson plans that I provide teachers to walk you through this process and ask me for your digital bonuses. I provide that for you, along the way. You complete a video, you comment on it saying, completed. Ask me for that digital asset that's attached to that lesson. I send it to you. It's just that simple, So if you choose educational channel, come join my 100% free teacher workshop. That will get you going with a community of collaborative educators. That's it. It's a no-brainer. You decide. This is ODE, Online Digital Education. Let me flash it right here for you. Teacherpreneur Facebook community of teachers that collaborate with each other to help each other ascend the value ladder. Okay, my name is Gabriel. I am happy to assist and collaborate with you. Stop by, leave a comment, say hello. Thank you. Talk to you soon.